Hey guys, it's Michelle Babb, and as promised, I thought we could spend a little bit more time together in our kitchens since we're all homebound for the time being. And one of the things that I have kind of committed to doing is a little bit of a pantry overhaul, and I thought this would also be a good opportunity to just talk through some of the things that I consider staples to have in the pantry. When you're thinking about eating healthy, anti-inflammatory eating, eating to support the immune system, there's a few things that you can have on hand that I think make things a lot easier. So I'm gonna venture into my own pantry here, which could be very entertaining because I have no idea what's in here. I have not done a little pantry makeover in a while, but I do know that right up front, I have some of my main staples that I rely on pretty heavily. So first couple things I'll pull out, I always have a few containers. I use these little containers that have the quick and easy pop off lids. And so I will always have some kinds of, these are mung beans, but I always have a few different varieties of legumes that I can quickly pull out of the cupboard and either soak to cook later or throw in my Instant Pot, or if they're mung beans or lentils, then I can cook those within 20 minutes. So the lentils and quinoa actually cook at the same rate. So a lot of times I'll just throw those in a pot together, and then I'll have that in the refrigerator, and that's something that I can use as a foundation for some of my heartier plant-based meals. I also always have some kind of seeds. So these seeds are sunflower seeds. I noticed earlier today that when I was pulling out some of my other lentils, you can see lentils are a theme for me, I discovered that I still had some of these pepitas or pumpkin seeds, which are actually really, really nutritious. So it's nice to have a rotation of seeds in your diet. These are really easy to throw on top of a salad, or if you're doing like a harvest bowl, a beans, greens, and grains bowl, you can throw on some of these pepitas. You can do sunflower seeds. Those actually add a lot more nutrition. They're high in magnesium. They have a lot of really good minerals, and so it's a nice way to add some crunch. So I always have something like that in my pantry. And sometimes if I overbuy those things, I store them in the refrigerator in containers like that because the oils don't oxidize as quickly, and so you can keep them in your refrigerator or freezer for a much longer period of time. But they're gonna be just fine in your pantry for a month, couple months until you use them to make your dishes even yummier. I always have quinoa. So this time, I don't know if you know this, but there's a little bit of a shortage on quinoa right now. So my usual rainbow quinoa was not in stock, so I settled for some red quinoa instead. So red quinoa, and I'll cook that up with some of the lentils, and that's gonna be a foundational food for me. Other things that I have in my pantry, usually a couple different kinds of nuts. Some hazelnuts up the last time I was in Oregon, so still have some of those. Yummy, yummy cashews that I can blend and make into different kinds of dips and sauces, or also just to snack on and eat. So I have raw cashews and some sweeteners. I won't go through everything in my pantry, but I want to just hit a couple highlights. This is actually monk fruit sweetener. So if you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar that you're eating, this is a lower glycemic sweetener, and it's a really good replacement. It's not overly sweet. It doesn't have a weird aftertaste, but it's granulated like regular sugar would be. So that's a nice sugar replacement. Chia seeds, I'll often have those to make some chia pudding. I might even throw some frozen raspberries in with my chia pudding and some coconut milk, and then let that sit for like 20 minutes, and then I get a nice little sweet treat. And then, here's some chocolate that I found, and this is actually the cure if you are having trouble and really dipping into the chocolate more than you want to be. This is 95% cacao. This is called Wicked Dark, and that's no lie. 95%, I'm not gonna lie to you, is a little bit extreme. So this one bar of chocolate has taken me, well, I'm about 2 weeks into it now, and I still have a couple squares left. So this 95% cacao will slow you down significantly if you're having any chocolate dilemmas where you're turning to the pantry a little too often for those kinds of sweets. Really dark chocolate, I normally prefer like 80-85%. That's a little bit nuts, honestly. I also always have some canned beans, because if I don't have time to cook them or soak them or whatever else, then I can easily just use canned beans and you know, throw those in a salad for a little bit of extra protein, or have my beans, greens, and grains bowls. Or if I get really ambitious, I can make that into hummus. So that's gonna be in there. I will always have some kind of tuna. So for my pescatarian style diet, I like to use skipjack tuna. This is Wild Planet is the brand. And skipjack tuna is really good for not having as much of the mercury accumulation as albacore tuna. So skipjack tuna is a smaller tuna, has a little bit more in the way of omega-3s to offer, but it tastes pretty much the same as your albacore tuna. So that's a really nice one to have in your pantry. And then last thing I'll cover this time is just some of the oils that I like to have on hand. So main thing is that you want to have something that is, you want to use mostly olive oil in your cooking. And just because, and that should be with like medium heat cooking and as a finishing oil or salad dressing. So you always want to have olive oil. That's the thing you're going to go through most often, or have to buy more olive oil than anything else. Let's put it that way. Avocado oil or something like this, like grapeseed oil, is a higher heat oil. So that's nice if you're gonna, you know, like sear a piece of fish, or you're gonna fry up some tofu and you're gonna have a little bit higher temperatures. It's good to have something that's not gonna oxidize, that has a little bit higher smoke point. So avocado oil is a good choice for that. And I usually buy something like this at Trader Joe's, for example, because you're gonna get a little better price on avocado oil. It tends to be pretty pricey, versus someplace like Whole Foods or even PCC. So you can get reasonably priced avocado oil there. So those are some of my, I promise to go deeper into the pantry and get into some of my deeper, darker secrets. There's actually nothing too outrageous in here. Probably pretty boring for apart from what I've already shown you. So everything that I pulled out are the things that are in the front of my pantry, because those are the things that I use and consider my primary staples. So now is a good time to go through your pantry, put things in containers where you can see them and they're easy to get to, and then you also have a nice rotation of things that you can use to keep you on a good whole foods based, plant-based diet where you know, you're not having to rely too heavily on processed foods. So these are the things that complete your meal, along with some of the fresh produce that you buy. All right, so that is my pantry overhaul for now, and we'll do likely do a part 2 of this at some point, but also want to take you into a little field trip into my refrigerator at some point too. All right, thanks for joining me.